Warmer weather, high consumer confidence, and less emphasis on Black Friday caused retailers to have a strong December. That's the assessment from Morningstar analyst Paul Swinand, who joins me now from Chicago. So, Paul, I know the data isn't out yet, but tell us how some of the retailers did over the past few days in your view.
Well, my view is that traffic has been really strong. Again, the weather, I think, has been just cold enough to get people inspired, but not cold or snowy enough to keep people away. And definitely in the Midwest, traffic is strong. I mean, the stores are busy. Some areas, like I do cover Coach, some of the areas have been a little bit weaker, but I think that's mostly product related.
And you also say Black Friday wasn't as big of a deal this year as it was in previous years, which caused December to be stronger in terms of sales. Why was that?
Yeah, we've been getting an increasingly promotional environment every year, and we keep saying it can't get any worse. So the new deal for 2014 was the deals are on all week. In fact, we'll extend the deals all the way throughout the Christmas season. So that takes the pressure off of consumers to get out there and sleep out to get a great deal Friday morning. But I think it also let people relax a little and say, hey, I'll get a good deal no matter what, given this promotional environment that we're seeing.
Now, other factors like a lower savings rate helped retailers, and you also talked about warm weather. Expand on that for us.
Yeah, well, since the recession, the consumer in general has had a higher savings rate, which is actually unusual for Americans. We typically don't save a lot, and we borrow a lot. So now that consumers have hopefully repaired their balance sheets, they're starting to show a little more ability to borrow, and they're also saving a little less. Don't forget, as consumers get credit for either houses or cars, that also increases their balance sheet. It should, if it can continue, give a little more tailwind to retail in 2015 as well.
All right, now tell us about which companies in particular performed well. What are some of your favorites and why?
Well, on my list, I think the department stores that I cover, I don't cover JCPenney, I cover Nordstrom, Kohl's, and Macy's. And in some ways, Macy's stands out, but I think the stock is a little rich. They've been very promotional. They've done very well online. They're actually a leader online of all the department stores. But I think the stock's a little bit ahead of itself because it's not a company that has a great long-run growth trajectory. Nike is one of my favorite companies on financial metrics. They're having a good holiday season with some marquee basketball sneakers. But I think, again, the stock's a little rich, and I think 2015, running's starting to soften up a little, and I think the basketball run is almost over. So one of the companies I do like is actually Adidas, and they are not doing well in the U.S. right now. Their Reebok division is not doing great, but I think in 2015 there might be a sale of that. And I also think that they are eventually going to turn around their U.S. Market share problems. And the final one I'd say is Coach. Again, I think the holidays is not going to be really the sign that the turn has come. So I think maybe we've got a little bit of tough sledding in the next quarter or two. But again, I think long run, it's a valuable brand. They've got a new designer. They've got a new management team. They're going to do great.
Now, some of the retail stocks, though, were already elevated because it wasn't that much of a surprise that this year's holiday shopping season would be a strong one, thanks in part to low gas prices. So is there much room for growth left in some of these names you mentioned?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, if there is growth, some of it might be multiple expansion as they, fire on all cylinders, and that's assuming they do fire on all cylinders in 2015. On my list, for example, Macy's is a little bit overvalued. Kohl's has done a little bit worse operationally, but they've zoomed up to what is my fair value of about 61. And then Nordstrom's overvalued as well, but don't forget they have the potential asset sale coming from the sale of their credit card portfolio. So if that happens, that's a jump up in the value.
All right, Paul, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Scott Gamm, and you're watching The Street.